Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Rethink ADHD. So somebody sent me a question that was asking, let me just read the question because I'm not gonna remember. What do husbands and wives of people with ADHD need to know? What are tips for dealing in a marriage or relationship with a partner with ADHD? Love this question for so many reasons. I've seen a lot of questions around like, how do I navigate a relationship either because I have ADHD or I don't have ADHD? I think first things first, it's all about the person with whom you are dating. So there are a couple books that I can recommend. My favorite is Attached. It's all about attachment styles. Everyone falls in one of 4 or 3 buckets, and it teaches you what to look out for when you're looking for your partner. The honest truth is that the majority of people that are single and in the dating pool tend to be more avoidant types. There are a lot more of those, but believe it or not, most people, at least in the United States, are actually secure. Just so happens that in the concentrated environment of dating, Loki would like to say hello. In the concentrated environment of dating, there are more avoidant people, and that makes sense because avoidants are not going to want to settle down and have kind of be enmeshed with another person. They're going to really prioritize their freedom, and so having them in a domestic situation might be a little bit harder. So you get a lot more avoidant people in the dating pool, but there are actually a lot of secure people around you. So I would definitely recommend that book. I would recommend knowing what your attachment style is. So I'll also put a link in the description below for the attachment style and the book. Because I think the first things first is just realizing that you have to be dating the right person. At ADHD, and I say this to pretty much everyone, I have ADHD. ADHD doesn't have me. Does that make any sense? In the sense like ADHD is an element of my experience and an element of my identity in a way because I am part of many ADHD communities. However, it does not define me entirely. So when I make decisions about who do I want to be in a relationship with, it has absolutely nothing to do with my ADHD. It's more around attachment styles, how we deal with conflict, how do we communicate, things like that. So I would recommend first, if you're dating someone or anticipating dating someone, read the book Attached and discover what your attachment style is. If you're one of those avoidant or anxious types, the book will tell you what to do. If you end up an anxious person dating an avoidant person, which happens a lot, the book will also tell you how to deal with that. So I won't go into that. So I think the first step is marrying or dating the right person. In my experience with ADHD, the best partners for me are people who, you all have heard me say this before, who are curious instead of critical. So one thing that can happen with ADHD is we're already cognizant of the things that we can't do. Like if you ask a person with ADHD a list of things they can't do, they can come up with at least 50. Because again, of that whole like self-critical dialogue that we have going on. So it doesn't help when you're with a partner who's externally critical, like critical of, your life. The other thing I would say is for relationships, most times you just have to meet that person halfway. So for example, my partner has what was formerly known as Asperger's. The research has actually shown that neurodivergent couples tend to do better than neurodivergent and neurotypical. And I think a lot of that is just because we tend to be more direct and we ask a lot of questions because we have to, because we can't assume that we understand what's going on. And so I'll give you an example. Whenever we meet a new person, I really like to be introduced as the girlfriend or the whatever. I just want to be introduced, name, title, boom. When we go into those social situations though, my partner has her own struggles with that. It's a new person, it's a new environment. There's a lot of sensory information to deal with, and honestly, she just gets flooded and her mind goes blank. So when we have a conversation about it, what I realize is it's more important for me that I get introduced. I don't necessarily need her to be the person that's introducing me, so I can just introduce myself because I'm able and capable of doing that. And so it's a matter of meeting her where she is instead of trying to force her to do something that she actively does not have the ability to do. So I think when you're dating with someone with ADHD, you should have really meaningful conversations with them up front about how their ADHD impacts their life. In my relationship, we talk about it a lot. And there are things that she's good at that I'm not good at, and things that I'm good at that she's not good at. And we just balance each other out. And I think the reason we do that so well is because we don't come at it from a critical lens. You know, if I go in the kitchen and I leave all the dang on cabinets open because I forget that I left them open, and she has to go behind me and close the cabinets, it's not like, oh, you're so distracted and you don't pay attention to detail. I think in her mind, it's like, it's just a thing. It's not a character assessment for me. So I would say if you're married or dating someone with ADHD, be cognizant of the way the lens that you perceive the things that they can and cannot do, because it's not about their character. They're not necessarily, like, there's a lot going on outside of that, but they're not necessarily, because they have ADHD, bad people. I think people get the perception that if you have ADHD, you lack motivation, you're lazy, you're messy. And that can happen because we are human, but more often than not, there's something more there. And I think one of the things that couples really lack today is effective communication. So it's about knowing how ADHD shows up for your partner, and then coming together to strategize how to overcome them as a team. If you tackle them like, oh, I'm telling you what to do because I'm the more organized one, or I'm the one that's always on time, I'm grooming and growing you, then you're gonna struggle in your relationship, because no one likes to feel like the person that they are is not enough. So you're gonna struggle versus saying, hey, you seem to be having trouble putting things in the right place. Is there something, a system or something that I can do to help you with that, if that's something that you care about, right? Some people just don't really care about that. But if that's the thing that's bothering you, have a conversation and tackle it as a team, because the person with ADHD is human already, and chances are they already know about the things that they're not doing well. Domestic tasks are hard. I'm fortunate with my background. I have an arsenal of people to help me out with certain things, but not everybody is that fortunate or that privileged. And so when you're in a pair, it's up to the two of you to figure out how you want to navigate the challenges that you're going to face as a couple. I, as an individual, can't tell you how to act and operate in your marriage, especially with your person with ADHD, because although ADHD is diagnosed the same way, it doesn't always manifest the same way. So I would definitely say have a conversation upfront about what this means, because you hear, oh, I have ADHD, and if you have TikTok or any other social media platform, that can mean a variety of different things, right? You have people who have ADHD who are really struggling on the career path, and then you have people with ADHD like myself who have figured out how to harness that power and are now launching successful careers. So it's a spectrum, just like autism, it's a spectrum. Your job is to understand where your partner is on that spectrum and where your part comes in to support them. This isn't about grooming anyone. This isn't about, modeling or growing anyone. This is literally about getting to a place where you can accept and respect that although this human has done things differently than you and may have a different perspective than you, they still have a right to exist. And if you love them, and I'm assuming you love them because you married them or you're dating them, if you love them, then you have to do that from the lens of, I love you for you, not the potential person I've created in my mind that I want to grow you into. Because that's not fair to anyone. Like, that's not fair to you, that's not fair to them. You'd be better off separating and going to find the person who can be organized and on time that you want, and they are better off to find the person who can support them in the executive dysfunction type things. So have a conversation, read that book, Attached. I'm gonna put it in the link below, and I'm also gonna put one of my favorite tests to know your attachment style. I recommend that book to everyone. It literally changed my relationship in life. And so I think having that foundation is important. That's my general advice. I know that was not super specific, and I'm by no means a relationship therapist. I no way. So what works for my relationship may not work for your relationship, but I think the fundamentals are the same. Meeting people where they are, being curious instead of critical, and realizing that love is about loving the person in front of you, not loving the person you've offended. So yeah, I hope that helps. I don't know. I'm gonna keep doing these question things because I like them. I think they allow me to be a little bit more, relatable. Anyway, that's the video for this week. I keep sending me questions. I think these are great. I love them. So I will see you all next week. Bye. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye.